Hello, everyone. This is Stacy. Welcome to the landing. On this episode of The Landing, I have the true honor of sitting down with someone I have admired for a very long time. He is the kind of person whose character speaks just as loudly as his words. Kind, compassionate, honest, and effortlessly witty. Those who know him are undoubtedly better because of his presence in their lives. His deep love for Down East is evident not only in what he says, but in how he lives. He carries a profound appreciation for where he's from and whose he is, honoring both with grace and authenticity. This conversation is one filled with faith, love, and humility, and I'm especially proud to share it. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Landing. I have a treat for you today. Folks who know this gentleman are going to be so excited to hear his voice. So without further ado, if you will, kind sir, tell us your name, who's your crowd, and where you're from.
Well, my legal name is Billy Joe Willis. I'm the middle son of Billy and Melba Willis. We're from Harkers Island, the Red Hills section. We're from the western part of Harkers Island.
That's right. Yep, I was from the eastern and you were from the western.
Yes, and of course, everybody knows there's a place on the island called Chinatown.
That's right. That's right. I
Mhm.
haven't heard that in a while, but yes.
There weren't any Chinese living there that I recall, but they called it Chinatown.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Well, you come from good stock, as they say on Harkers Island.
All right.
I'm excited to hear about your memories and growing up on the island and about your family. So you can jump right in. Tell us your story, Billy Joe.
Okay, well, my dad is his name. He passed in 2014. Billy Willis. Billy was named after his grandfather. His name was William O'Neill. William O'Neill and Eliza O'Neill were the parents of my dad's mother, Marjorie Willis. And Marjorie grew up on Ocracoke Island. And dad's dad, Gray Willis, was fishing at Ocracoke Island, and he met my grandmother, Marjorie, and they married, and he moved her to Harkers Island. And so she named her son, had a son and a daughter. She named her son, she didn't name him William because her dad was called Billy. So she named my dad Billy. That's his legal name, Billy. And then he named me Billy, but his middle name is Cameron. My middle name is Joe. So Billy Joe Willis, probably one of the most redneck names you're ever going to find, but I'm proud of it because I was named after my daddy and my great grandfather, and I'm grateful that I carry that name. And of course, Billy was married to Mom Melba Davis Willis. My mom is from Davis Shore, and growing up on the island, we would go there, well, probably on a regular basis, but you know, I was always called an onion eater by some Davis Shore folks. I never liked that. I don't understand where that came from. But I was glad to be called a loon eater, though I've never even tasted loon, because Harkers Islanders were always called the loon eaters. But anyway, Billy married Melba and raised three boys on the western end of Harkers Island. And Carrie's the oldest. Carrie is 5 years older than me. He was born in 61. God willing, and I see May the 7th, I'll be 60. And my youngest brother, Stephen Gray, he will be 53 years old come November. I'm 6.5 years older than Stephen. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the three sons of Billy and Melba Willis, a commercial fisherman and a homemaker.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a drastic impact on my life.
Yes, yes. Oh my goodness. I all those names that you're saying, I love it. I love it. Um
Yeah.
now I always, of course, I call you Billy Joe, and it's like one name to me
Right.
all together. Does anyone
Yeah.
call you just call you Billy, or is it always Billy Joe?
Well, that's a funny story in itself. My mom always called me Billy Joe. Dad called me Bill. I'm not sure he probably called me Bill because he was Billy to everybody. He
Hmm.
never told me that. He always called me Bill, and especially as I got a little older. In 1987, I interviewed for a job with First Financial Savings Bank, um, and I really had no business being a banker. My mom had one prayer, and it's a two-sided coin. She prayed, God save my sons and make something out of them.
Hmm.
And so I interviewed at First Financial Savings Bank, which would eventually become BB&T, and then BB&T would turn into Truist. Anyway, I was interviewed at the bank by a lady named Ruth McDaniel. She was the city exec. And when I went for my first interview with her, she asked me, she said, what do people call you? And I said, well, they call me Billy Joe, or Bill, uh, either one of those two. And once in a while, Billy. And she said, well, if we hire you, we're going to call you Bill because that sounds more professional. And it's the funniest thing because I'd have people from the island come into my office to maybe apply for a loan, and they'd see my name plate. My name plate said Bill J. Willis, and they'd come in and they look at me and they say, Bill Willis, you ain't Bill Willis, you're Billy Joe. They thought I was trying to be high and mighty and was too sophisticated for my name, but they didn't know that Dad called me Bill, Mom called me Billy Joe.
Yeah.
So I just adapt wherever I'm at. But that's the story of my name.
I
And
love it.
I thought it was cool when I was growing up because there was a show called B.J. McKay and his best friend Bear. There's this
Yes,
truck driver named Billy Joe McKay, and I think he had a pet monkey
he did.
or something.
He did.
And I thought that name was cool. And then I got to East Carter. They made fun of Jesus over there, and everybody started calling me Billy Joe Jim Bob. And I thought, how redneck is that? And I thought, well, I'm not sure about it. So that's kind of my name. But I will tell you, as I've gotten older, knowing who I was named for, my daddy, Billy, and his dad, William, uh, who was called Billy, him and his brother in their late 30s both drowned in a fishing accident off the coast of Ocracoke Island. And so every time I'm on Ocracoke, I got to go visit his headstone
Mhm.
because on the headstone it says William O'Neill, my great grandfather, he was faithful to every duty.
Wow.
So I embrace that name.
Mhm.
And I just tell people, call me what you want to call me,
Yeah.
as long as you call me for supper. And we're in the South, and ain't never dinner.
Nope. Never
Evening meal,
dinner.
evening meal is supper. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the story of my name. Well, another thing about my name, there was a Manfred Davis, North Carolina. My mom knew his family well. In fact, Joe Williams, you might remember him, Tanya. He taught at East Carter. I don't know if he was still there when you were out there because
Mhm.
he lived to be a pretty old dude. He taught shop class. He
Uh-huh.
had the kindest way about him. Well, Mama told me they lost a young son, and his name was Billy Joe. So Mama named me after Daddy, of course, my great grandfather, and the Joe came in from Mr. Williams' son.
Oh,
So,
wow. Wow.
so there's a
What a sweet
connection there
story.
too.
Yes, what a
Yeah.
sweet, sweet story.
Funny thing is I ran into a relative of his. I actually it was his mother uh, at the Kentucky Fried Chicken a couple of years ago. My mom, and I hadn't seen her for years. But when I saw her that day, if I'm not mistaken, it was her. she made the connection that her son who died was Billy Joe, and another Billy Joe standing in front of her. So
Uh-huh.
that was a tender moment.
There's a lot in a name. And
Oh yeah,
the older you get, the more you appreciate those kinds of things, but definitely.
heck yeah.
Mhm. Well, what do you remember about growing up on the island? What are some of your fondest memories?
Well, I think that if every little boy and girl could grow up in the home I grew up in the west end of Harkers Island, we'd have a lot different world.
Absolutely.
Um, I I mean, in some ways we were sheltered in all kinds of ways, but mom and dad loved each other immensely. Um, they're, they were people of great faith. They lived it out. Um, my brother makes a statement about our parents. It's so true. My mom and dad weren't perfect. Nobody is, but they lived out. They lived out the life of Christ. And Carrie has said over the years that I love this statement. When you're raised in the kind of home we were raised in, even the church can't mess you up.
Oh, wow.
And there's a lot to be said about that.
Yeah.
Faith was a big part of our family, and we knew that early on. And our hero was Jesus. That's just how we grew
Mhm.
up.
Yes.
But in a small 3-bedroom home in the west end of the island, the summer times, oh my land, I went up as my first model boat, and of course we know model boats can be pulled along the shoreline. They're not just for looking at them.
Right.
In 1973, Chris was a 73 or 74, one of those years. I think it's 73. My cousin Mitch, he got with mom and dad and got with Heber, and Heber Guthrie built me my first boat. I may have had one before that, but my first real boat. It's in my office today.
Oh my
And that
goodness.
boat is, I got Stevie later to do a little work to it. Stephen Lewis,
Yes.
and that boat, we would go down to the Landon. I
Mhm.
love the title of your show.
Yes.
We have a name for our Landon. It's Aunt May's Landon.
Uh-huh.
And Aunt May was the sister of our grandfather Gray, and we played along back sound, and I'll never forget those days. We go down there early in the morning, and we would stay all day long,
Mhm.
and we pulled those boats. And then I remember when Kyle was able. Kyle Willis was one of my best friends growing up, and still one of my best friends. He grew
Yes.
up across the street from me. That was Willie Caffrey and man, what's his mother's name? I forgot. I know
Maddie
Matty Gray,
Gray.
and
Yes.
Catherine.
Yes.
Kyle, man, we spent a many hour on the shore, but he showed up one day with a net that would work. David Ron built some nets, and we would take those nets off the back of our little boats, and we'd pull our boats, and those nets with the trawl boards would drag along the bottom. It was crazy
Really?
how real it was. Oh yes, unbelievable. Now we didn't catch anything, of course,
Yeah.
but we stayed down there all day long, and we had a time. And every once in a while, we have an inkling to have a mud fight to throw mud patties from the bottom of the sound at each other.
Yes.
But I'll tell you, we didn't have to worry. My parents didn't have to worry about us. See, and
Mhm.
I carry. I think I saw he put a post on Facebook. I didn't listen to his recording yet because I want you to have two perspectives. But he said something, and it's really good. When we grew up, Mom locked us out of the house,
Yes. Yes.
and she knew we were safe.
Yep.
You locked us in the house,
Yep.
and anyway, but I'll tell you a memory I have. I'll never forget. Somewhere around 3:30, 4 o'clock, 4:30, depends on what day it was. I knew I was going to hear Mama
Yep.
calling me, come home for supper.
Yep.
And probably as far as the crow, it wasn't a quarter of a mile, it was less than that as far as the crow. But Mom, she could holler, and she would holler, Billy, Charles, come to supper. And I was stubborn. My dad had to discipline me, and he went by the rule the Bible talks about: spare the rod, spoil the child, or something like that.
Yeah.
But I was stubborn. She had to call me more than once. But
Uh-huh.
about the third time that she would say this, Tanya, she'd say, "Hey, Joe, come to supper. I picked your bones out of your fish." And she didn't say fish. She said fish.
Fish.
Because that's the right way to pronounce the word fish. Ain't no fish, she said fish.
That's
But when
right.
she said she'd pick the bones out of my fish, I knew I need to get home. But those memories, I still have those to this day. They stay with me. But I think I was growing up, how do I say this? In a fairy tale,
Uh,
except it wasn't a fairy tale.
mm-hmm.
It was real.
Mm-hmm.
And so I continue, like I said a few seconds ago, every little boy and girl grow up at Billy and Melba's house, and I'm biased. I can say Wayne and Lana's house,
Yeah.
and live on the western end of Harkers Island. In those days, we had a lot different world.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And when you think about it, Billy Joe, I know like with my circle of friends, that's how my home was. And that's how when I'd
Yep,
go to Johanna's house, that's how
yep.
that's how her house was. That's how Mary Ann's house was. That's how it was.
Oh yeah,
You know?
yeah. A
Yeah.
lot of just family.
Yeah.
Even if you weren't related or maybe distant relatives, everybody knew each other.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, I'm fighting sinus infection, but you know each other. I guess sometimes that could be good or bad. I don't know.
Yeah. We used to joke and kind of joke, but if something happened or whatever, Mama knew about it before I would get home. She knew about it before
Oh
I
heck
did.
yeah!
You know?
Let me say something else.
Yeah.
You talk about that right there. My dad always told me if you get in trouble at school and you have to be paddled in those days, they could paddle you
Yeah.
and go to the principal's office and get your butt whooped. Dad said, "You get home, you'll get one worse than you got to school." I said, when we had to have those paddlings, and say you get a whipping at school, you're gonna get worse when you get home. It was not child abuse.
Yeah.
It
Right.
was it was it was love. And
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you something funny about a paddle. Kyle and I one time decided we're going to build a new paddle for Miss Ruth Folk's third grade.
Miss Ruth
Well, one
Folger.
day she left the room and put me in charge of keeping names. Write the names on the board if people misbehaved.
Oh
And I
yes.
came back and she found out I had misbehaved. And I was the first one that got paddle with her paddle. I had the paddle that Kyle and I made for her.
No
I'll tell
way.
you what, third grade. Ain't crazy you can remember that stuff, isn't it?
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
oh, that was interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, just knowing everybody and everybody knew each other and
Yeah.
yeah, that's beautiful memories for me. That's some beautiful memories for me.
Oh, it's wonderful. We were blessed. My gracious, we are blessed. Now,
No doubt.
when you left East Carteret, when you graduated, or
Mhm.
where did that lead you? Where did you go?
Well, in 1984, I graduated, and in those days, college loans were not as accessible
Yes.
as they were. Um, I'll be honest with you. I applied for the Air Force ROTC, but I couldn't get a higher SAT score.
Hmm.
So it must not been meant for me to go. But I kind of graduated, and that summer I worked with my dad on his fishing boat, and I just really didn't even think about college, to be honest with you. Didn't know that it was possible, and that sounds sad, and in some ways maybe it is. But in the summertime, I heard about some of my friends. Jonathan Griffin is still a great friend of mine. Growing up, we've been friends, him and Kyle and I. I don't know what age you can have a friend, but we've been friends a long time. But I
Hmm.
learned of him and like Dean Nelson,
Yeah.
and some of the guys were going to go to Carter Community College. So I said, I've got to do something. So I went over there and I enrolled, and and I started studying for an associate's degree in business administration,
Uh-huh.
and I I persevered with that. I did drop out for 1 quarter. Paul's dad, he was going down to Georgia and needed a mate, so I dropped out for 1 quarter to go down to make him. But anyway, I ended up graduating. But before I graduated, I interviewed for a job at First Financial Savings Bank. That was a God thing.
Mm-hmm.
The advisor there at the community college, her name was Emma Willis, and
Ah.
I don't know if there's any relation. She was from Moorhead or had a
Mm.
connection in Moorhead. And the whole time I went to Carter Community College, I didn't even think she liked me.
Oh.
Well, I was, this is crazy. I was working at Rose's department store there in Beaufort, that French store, Rose's.
Rosé.
And um, it was February. I was sweeping the floors, and somebody from the service desk said, "Bill, let's try to call." And I went there, and Emma said, "Bill, I've got a friend of mine that's looking to hire somebody for a management training position at First Financial Savings Bank, and I was wondering, could I give Miss Ruth McDaniel, that was her name, your name?" I said,
Oh,
"Are you kidding me?" And
wow.
I went and interviewed, and Ruth hired me. And she said, I'll never forget, she said it years after that. She passed away last year. I was able to see her before she died. She was 90.
Oh,
She was a
wow.
mentor of mine and a dear friend. She gave me a break. She believed in me.
Uh-huh.
And I could cry because
Mm-hmm.
that was big time. She said, "You came in that first time, you had your long hair in the back, and I asked you, would you back in those days, we had a long in the back. It's called the mullet.
The
My
mullet.
mullet was very well styled. It was always, it was flopping in the back there." And she said, "Would you be willing to cut your hair?" I said, "Oh, yes." And she said, "And what if I asked you to spray the fat before, would you do it?" I said, and she hired me. And from there, God just opened doors, and man, I only had a 2 year degree. Actually, I got the job before I finished a 2 year degree, and I was able to advance, and by the grace of God, by God's power, I was able to be successful in the banking business.
Mm-hmm.
I was a branch manager and assistant vice president at the age of 23 years old,
Wow.
and God just blessed me. It's all Him.
Mm-hmm.
He gave me the know-how, and I stayed at that job for about 11 or 12 years. But I
Mm-hmm.
tell you what, it comes full circle.
Yeah.
I like last year, I Ruth's daughter called and told me she was dying, and so I made it home. And she had been very, I don't know, a couple of days. She really hadn't been responding very much. And when I tell Mom, I might cry. I say this. Hold on a second.
Uh-huh.
And Donna met me at the door. Her is in Pineville Shores. Ruth has a house in Pineville Shores. And I was walking in the bedroom behind Ruth's daughter to see Ruth, and Donna said, "Mama, Bill Willis is here to see you." And she put both hands up in there and say, "Bill Willis." And I
Oh,
got to spend about 30 minutes with her. And I prayed with her, told her I
oh,
loved her. And she passed away about a week later.
oh
And
my
so
goodness.
Ruth McDaniel believed in me, gave
Mm-hmm.
me a chance.
Yes.
And I'm forever grateful for that.
Oh my goodness.
That's my banking story. I
Well,
ended up BB&T office was the real first financial high rate five right there, 22 Rindle Street, right Atlantic Beach high rise, across from what used to be EJW bicycle shop. That's been so many years ago. But
yes,
you're
yeah.
right down here. I think there's a bank and Dairy Queen across the road.
Mm-hmm.
Then I eventually became branch manager of the Moorhead, Maine office, which at the time was across from the yacht basin there in Moorhead City near the car wash and those restaurants. And they've since closed that down and consolidated. And they're now called Truist, and they have two branches. But that was the
Uh-huh.
bank I worked for
Uh-huh.
about 11 years, something like
Well, now how did you go from banking to where
that.
you are now? How did that happen?
Well, when I was 20, let's see here, I got married when I was almost 25, 24, 25. And in our tradition, I had kind of been living like a hypocrite. Outside, it all looked like I had it all together, that I was really walking with Christ. But I wasn't. I was, in our terms, away from Christ. I needed faith.
Mm-hmm.
And to make a long story short, and what I mean by that is when you're raised in Billy and Melba's home, you can ride coattails for a while.
Mm-hmm.
You ever heard this saying, Stacy? I don't smoke or chew or go with women. I had it all together.
Uh-huh.
But I did not. I was not in relationship with Christ by faith and
Mm-hmm.
grace.
Mm-hmm.
And so 1 year after being married, I can only describe it as what happened. God said, about time for you to come home, man. And so I submitted to God, and by faith said, yep, I'm going to live for you, you and your son. And I was a newlywed 1 year. And from that moment on, my wife and I dedicated our lives to following God, his son. And that's been 35 years ago. But what happened is sometime after that, I can only tell you what's going on. Something inside me began to stir. It was God, Holy Spirit, talking to me about giving my life to be a pastor.
Mm-hmm.
And I shake it.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to run. My wife and I got our first home. We had been married 1 year. We built a house in South Shore subdivision in Moorhead. Of course, I was working with BB&T,
Mm-hmm.
First Financial BB&T. And then that wasn't good enough. So after a few years, I bought a lot in Brandywine Bay and built a house. And I was empty on the inside. I knew that God wanted something more out of me. And after about 6 or 7 years, I can only tell you by God's strength, I said, okay. And so I left Carteret County in August of 1998 and moved to Colorado. And I got my bachelor's in biblical studies, pastoral ministry, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And went to Charlottesville, Virginia in 2000. Pastored there for 16 years. And now I've left there and came to Tri-Cities of Tennessee, Kingsport. And I've been here for 10 years. So I've been a pastor for 26 years. I wouldn't have changed it for nothing. Really, it came down to this. I was sitting in my office across from the yacht basin one day, and in my heart and spirit, God said to me, I was 32 years old. He said it would be I'm sorry. He said it would be a crying shame if 10 years from now you're sitting at this desk and realize you missed my call in your life.
Oh,
And
wow.
that scared me.
Uh-huh.
Because see what's happening, I'm highly competitive.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, little side story. Stephen and I were playing tennis his 8th grade summer before we went to East Carter. And he beat me and I beat him, and we go back and forth. I'm 6.5 years older. Well, he was part of the tennis team, and I didn't see him play any matches or anything. So after tennis season was over, we went over to Eastern Park to play some tennis one night, Stacy. I could not return one of his serves. He beat me 6-love. I quit. And I quit playing tennis that night. I'm competitive.
Uh-huh.
And so in the banking world, I was very competitive.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that it's a God thing. That's all I say. I'm never my hero.
Mm-hmm.
1 year, the first 6 months, we had this competition for making loans. I was a branch manager, vice president, and lender. I made loans. I didn't make the Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac conventional mortgages or business loans. I made a lot of loans that didn't fit the criteria of those. Like I made yacht loans, boat loans. I made oceanfront lot loans. Like people would buy an oceanfront lot, and I would finance it.
Uh-huh.
And 1 year we had this lending competition going on with BB&T. I think we were in like 5 states at the time. I don't know how many lenders.
Mm-hmm.
For the first 6 months, I was the number 1 lender.
Oh my goodness.
Now I have people feeding me loans, so it's all God. I don't know where I finished the year, but I bet I was in the top 5 or 10. Well, I was competitive,
Yes.
but what God was showing me, you're making these loans and they're going to be paid off or refinanced. They ain't going to last.
Mm-hmm.
And so right in my future, did I want to give my life for something that's going to last forever, or am I going to give? And for me, it came down to that. Or am I going to give my life for what's not forever?
Wow.
And so, uh, uh, 28 years later, yeah, being a minister's hard. I mean, we deal with all kinds of junk.
Yeah.
but even in the middle of dealing with stuff that's going on, you know, um, I have this joy and peace. I can't really explain it, and I love most people.
Uh-huh.
I love people, and some of them are a little harder to love. And of
Yeah.
course, I'm like that too to some people. But at the end of the day, man, I just know that what God's asked me to do is something for me. Is
Mm-hmm.
something He called me to do, and that's how I became a pastor.
Oh my goodness. I love that. Wow. So you're in Tennessee now, still.
Tri Cities.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
here 10 years next month.
Oh wow. Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. Now,
Most people have not heard of Kingsport. That's the town I live in.
uh-huh.
They've heard of Bristol. Bristol,
Yes.
Tennessee's 20 minutes away. Of course, that's where the racetrack is. So
Yes.
they've heard of
Yeah,
that.
heard of that. That's right. That's right. Wow. Well, what would you say to your younger self if you had a chance?
Mm, wow. Well, that's a loaded question.
That's a loaded one, isn't it?
Well, I think it's loaded for a number of reasons. God makes us each one individual. For example, on my mom's side of the family, there is the genetic link with depression and anxiety and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my mind never slows down.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I overthink things. Um, some of the people who knew me as a child, I was bumped over the place, couldn't sit still. Dad would say to me after he spanked me, he said, "Now, Bill, I spanked you. You go do the same thing again." I'm stubborn. Mix that with anxiety, depression. I'm very honest about this stuff because you
Mm-hmm.
can't really help anybody if you're going to fake it. I
Right.
don't fake it.
Right.
That's one thing I would tell my younger self. I'm sure I have faked it, but not anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I'm finding out is there's a lot of people out there who deal with the same things you deal with. And so growing up on the island, I was anxious, had anxiety. My mother has dealt with depression her whole life. My grandfather did, his mother. I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about some serious stuff. So sometimes when you talk to your younger self, you you can't what's the right word? You can't shed who you are. You understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes.
You
Yes.
you you have a makeup as the way you're made, and so sometimes I could tell you exactly what it ought to look like, what it ought to do. And I'm not talking about moral things; those are cut dry.
Right.
I'm talking about making decisions and things, and sometimes I have to be careful. I don't please people, um, those kind of things. So my younger self, if I could change my psyche, there's a lot I'd say to my younger self. See, that's a loaded question because
Yeah. I
I'm
love.
made a certain way.
Yeah. I love that.
It's
And
very sensitive.
what I heard you just say though is that you would tell your younger self to give yourself some grace.
Oh heck
You
yeah!
know.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
That's very true. But
Yeah.
let me tell you something here. The sensitivity I have to things. See, if you took away the crazy side of it, overthink things, not give yourself any grace, um, things like that, and I had to lose the other side of it. You see? Let me
Yes.
give you an example.
Mm-hmm.
This is how I rolled. And once again, I'm not my hero. If I'm riding down the road and I think about somebody, I pick the phone up and call them.
Mm-hmm.
They could be from any era of my life if I have their number.
Wow.
That I call that the nudge.
Yes. Yep.
I call that. I call that. I know what that is. That's Holy Spirit nudging me.
Mm-hmm.
Call that person. Hey, the crazy side of me, the no give myself grace, overthink things, slam to death, can't make a decision sometimes. I'm being transparent with you big time.
Yes.
That's who I am.
Yep.
But if I took that part away, would I have this other part?
Mm.
You see,
Right.
I wouldn't sacrifice that.
Right.
So yeah, my younger self, yeah, you're right. Give yourself some grace. You're not perfect. You're not this. You're not that. Don't be that. Don't try to please people. Cut yourself some slack. All of that is is true. But then I think about this verse of scripture, Romans 8:28. Paul said, "All things work together for the good of those that love God, those who are called according to the purpose of His Son." So that means that God can even use that junk for our good and to bring honor to Him. And so I've
Mm-hmm.
had to learn to think about that a lot in my
Wow.
life.
Yeah.
And so I look back at my days, not knowing if I was going to have a job, and then God opens the door, and I look at how it's crazy how God just puts a puzzle together, every piece of it.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyway, hey, I hope I'm not talking too much, but I'm just sharing from my
No.
heart.
No. 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 This is perfect. This is so good. Our time has flown by, though. Is there
Yeah.
anything that we haven't touched on that you would like to share, that you would like to include?
Well, Harkers Island and down east, uh, forever in my blood. I've lived away for quite a while, even when people said, "Oh, you got highfalutin, had to move to Morehead City, did you?" I've always been a Harkers Islander. I always will be, and I'm proud.
Mm-hmm.
I'm proud of where I'm from, and it's part of who I am. And I talk a lot about the messages. I share my life with people from the island, stories after stories, and I'll forever love the people. And then I saw recently where Jonathan Willis passed away. And we used to have the best time. We picked on each other. A few months ago, it's been a while back now, maybe a year, Mom and Carrie and I don't think Stephen was with us. My wife was just being Carrie that day. We're eating at the spot. We invited Jonathan was in there. We said, sit down here, let us buy you something. And I think we bought him a shrimp burger, and we had the best time talking. And
Yeah.
I just got a lot of good memories. Harkers Island, Red Hill area. I grew up with Jimmy Pale and Kyle Willis, and uh, kids like that. John Griffin, who was at Red Hill, but he went far ahead,
Yeah.
far down the road there.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. It's just a beautiful place, and it is forever a part of who I am. I don't know like this. Harkers Island is etched in my heart,
Yes. Yep.
and Down East is etched in my heart. And I'll say this: I graduated from East Carter in 1984. I cried like a baby the night I graduated because I knew all these people I dearly. It was ending. I mean, as far as we all go our own directions.
Yeah.
But I remember one time they used to have this license plate in front of the island cars, a vanity plate. I like calling Harkers Island home.
Yes. I
Well,
remember those. Yes.
that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Sticking
And
to it.
so I'm grateful for my heritage, and I've been grateful you've allowed me to talk about it today. Is there any question you want to ask me that you just want to ask me? You've not asked me. I know I get carried away sometimes talking too much.
No, no, no. This has been perfect. This really has been perfect. And it's so good to hear your voice and just you talking and saying these names and telling your stories. It just reminds me of how blessed we are. And I know folks who aren't from down east, they can't understand, Billy Joe. I mean, it's
No,
just different.
no.
It's different. It's a
Yeah,
beautiful
and
thing.
one quick funny thing.
Uh-huh.
Lori, my wife, is from Burlington, and I met her at Shell Point.
What?
Carolyn Camplain, who's related to me, was her roommate, and that's where I met Lori, and I
Oh.
married her. Well, she loves coming down there. She loves to get a shrimp burger at Seaside.
Uh-huh.
But one time we came home and I was having a conversation with, I don't know who it was, might have been Richard Gillikin or Al, I don't know who it was, and we got talking about people on the island. And we went like this. I said, "Have you seen Hoot and Nanny lately? Ratchet, 9/16, Scoochie, all these nicknames." Lori's mouth is like, "Who are you talking about?" It
Are,
was hilarious.
are
And
you
so to
talking
this
about
day,
people?
oh yeah, there was that. Yeah, yeah. Who is that? Ratchet 9/16. Who is Hoot Nanny? It was just, what I'm saying, and that just shows you the love the islanders have for the island and each other. And
Oh,
I'm grateful. So
I,
I'll end on that story. How about that?
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for giving us some of your time. I know you're very busy, but I'm just appreciate you so much for agreeing to talk to me.
Well, thank you, Stacy, and your family. He's had a special place in my heart and the hearts of our family. And I'll never forget Wayne and Lana. I would have a dance at their house, and I'd go down there,
Yes, yes,
and you might go to your daddy's shop and hug on Miss Lana and Dwayna, your sister.
yes,
We grew up together. Your family's precious. All the families on
yes,
Harkers Island are just precious people, and
yes.
I love them. I love them forever. And so I appreciate your time. Thank you for inviting me to share. Okay.
Yes. Well, thank you very much, and hopefully I'll get to see you sometime and hug your neck.
All right, Stacy. Love you.
I love you more. Bye
All
bye.
right. Have a blessed day.
You too, darling. Bye bye.
Thank you again for joining us to The Landing. This podcast is brought to you by the Core Sound Waterfowl Museum and Heritage Center. Tune in next week as we continue learning, sharing, and remembering together. If you'd like to hear more, check out our previous episodes where you get your podcasts. If you or someone you know is interested in being on The Landing, please reach out through the link in the description. Until then, stay safe and be kind.